Hi guys, this is Maggie Reese.
And I'm John McManamy.
And we're back in the shack again.
We are back in the shack. I love this place.
I
right?
do too. This is a place where we can talk about anything and just get it all out there and be real, because a lot of people don't want to talk about tough subjects, and John and I we just want to, because we want to help you guys.
Yeah, and talking about being real, we're going to talk about stuff that is unreal or may seem unreal.
Yeah, and people are like, is that really happening, or am I crazy, or is this uncomfortable? So we're just going to dive into...
Well, yeah, because, okay, so talk about unreal or paranormal or intuition or psychic. Okay, so one time, a long time ago, I had a very vivid dream about an earthquake. And then the next morning, I was shaken awake by a real earthquake, the first one I'd experienced in my life. Mm-hmm. Now, I'm not saying I'm psychic or anything, but, you know, these kind of weird things happen to most of us. And, you know, if we've got a bipolar diagnosis, then we're wondering, you know, am I crazy?
Right.
Or is this part of what other people experience? I mean, is there this kind of world out there, you know, that spans the gamut from intuition and goes into creativity, and then goes into kind of like almost a second or third sight, almost paranormal, and then there's break with reality.
Right, right.
And,
that's true.
And so whatever we experience, you know, we've got to know ourselves, you know, at all times. Okay, we just had that experience. Where are we going to place it within our own concept of normal? Because our normal may be different than other people's versions of normal.
Oh, sure. And going on that thing, what you're talking about with the paranormal and the psychic thing, that's where, like, me individually, I stay away from that stuff because I can't handle it. So that's where I spiritually go to God and I pray. So even in my yoga, I don't believe in this whole namaste thing, namaste, whatever. Because for me, it just freaks me out. So I always pray in yoga. So same with the psychic thing, it freaks me out. So I go to God with that. Well,
it can be too much to handle with the psychic.
Yeah, I'm like, I'm out. That's not for me. But anyways, John's got some different insights there, and I'm sure all of you out there have your different things. But just from my point of view.
Yeah, no, I have to validate your point of view first, because
I have to say what I gotta say.
Yeah, because really, I don't want to wake up. I live in Southern California, so I don't want to be sensitive to earthquakes. Let's suppose. So I think unconsciously I shut that right down. That's too much to handle.
Yeah, yeah.
And we experience sensory overload anyway. I've brought this up before. It's like we've got a leaky filter. It's very hard for people with bipolar and other conditions to shut it off, especially if we're creative and we've got intuitive insights. That's too much for the brain to handle sometimes. It's almost like we're thinking ahead of time. It's almost like we're coming up with solutions to problems that other people don't even, before they've even recognized a problem.
Totally know what you mean. Well, but back to the earthquake thing real quick. You're onto something there, because think about the people that went running up in the mountains that knew the tsunami was coming before it came.
Right, and animals have that sense of sensitivity.
So there is something.
There is something. So, you know, if I really want to do some navel gazing on this, it could be that on a cellular level, my body picked up vibrations from somewhere in the tectonic plates down there, and it came out as a dream. Okay, so that is plausible, because we do have animals running up the hill. There's something they sense, magnetism, whatever. You know, so this is off our normal senses, and this is actually very relevant because we only experience a piece of reality anyway. I mean, we only see in this small wavelength of the light bandwidth. We only hear so much. So and we don't see the world the same way, say, as a bat with an echolocator. So a bat will experience reality in a totally different manner. You know, even assuming a bat had a human brain, it would not experience the same reality we do. So if we can think for a second, okay, maybe I'm experiencing life in this bandwidth here, but maybe my bandwidth is, you know, has expanded just a bit, or maybe it's over here a little bit more.
Right, and that's where I feel like, for me, I haven't had the paranormal stuff or whatever. I don't pay attention, but I have had those experiences of where I know there's something majorly wrong with this person. I can pick up on their stuff. I know it way before everybody else picks up on it.
Right.
And I'm like spot on later on. And my husband's always like, "How did you know?" I'm like, "I don't know. I just know. What is that? What is?"
Okay, there's a book. I forgot her first name now. Her last name is Aaron, A-R-O-N. In 1997, she came out with this book called The Highly Sensitive Person.
Mm-hmm.
And it discusses a lot of stuff we've been talking about being sensitive to things, about this leaky filter.
Right.
So the highly sensitive person is just picking up on things in the environment that ordinary people aren't thinking. So she gives the example of two kids going into a classroom. Okay, so the kid who's not highly sensitive, they'll go into the classroom and take their seat as if everything's normal. The highly sensitive kid smells out something funny in the room. He or she...
Just like me.
Yeah. She might see the teacher with a stern look on her face. She might see a kid sulking in the corner, and the bags on the shelf are not quite where they're supposed to be.
Yeah.
So they're reacting to things. And I have this in my life where I walk into a meeting and I just sense things are not right.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So
and you can see everything all at once. It's so trippy. It's like you're on some drug where you're like, you can tap into hyper-reality, and you can tap into a bunch of conversations all at once. Like it happened to me at the gym the other day. I'm not a gym fan, but I go and I'm on the treadmill going, and I could see all these different TV screens, take them in all at once. And I'm tapping into the guy doing weights back and the right, and I'm seeing the spin class on the left, and I'm hearing sounds from all over the gym. And
we have trouble shutting.
Oh my gosh, it was
down
crazy.
That stuff. Yes.
Yeah, it was nuts. And I'm like, I wonder if a normal person sees all this stuff.
No, no, they don't.
Are they just in their little treadmill going da da da, looking at one monitor? Where I'm like, boom.
Yeah, because they have minds that can screen this stuff out.
Yeah.
Right. And there's this kind of it's a funny spectrum, because schizophrenia comes into the spectrum. So if we think of schizotypal as a light form of schizophrenia, in schizotypal, they test high for creativity as well. And once again, it's this leaky filter, trouble screening things out.
Right.
Now, see, if I snap my fingers like this is, I heard this from a schizophrenia doctor at a conference.
Right.
Okay, snap my fingers like this. Most people can tune out the second snap, and that's called sensory gauging. Okay,
Right.
Now people with schizophrenia have problems tuning out that second snap, and I think people with bipolar and highly sensitive people experience a version of that.
Right.
So you can't tune out all those TV screens at will, whereas the normal person can tune them out. So there's good and bad. So this is like we can get overloaded, which leads to freaking out or shutting down. But we can also be highly creative and intuitive. We can see things happening literally before they happen.
Yeah, it's
like
really trippy. it's like the sixth sense.
It's a sixth sense. It's like we can see around a corner almost.
Yeah.
And sometimes we don't realize other people don't experience it. So if I'll take it for granted that these other people have the same sensibilities I do. So I may say something and they'll say, "What?"
Oh yeah, I get that.
You get that too?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
And but then I'm not validated until the thing actually happens, and then by then everyone forgot that I came up with that whole freaking thing, right?
Yes.
And I'm like, seriously, that's what I was talking about, and I'm mad because I'm like, gosh, dang it, I could have. They
only think we're crazy.
Right, and that gets really annoying, and I'm sure any of you out there that with bipolar that have had these experiences, it drives you nuts when they're like, oh, well, he's just crazy. You know?
Yeah, and I've had to learn to adjust to this.
Yeah.
I call it, they see 4, I see 28.
Yeah,
okay?
Totally.
So okay, so these are people who have linear minds. I think that's the best way to put it. Okay.
That's my husband. He's
Right. I call them the linear people.
Yeah,
okay.
and I'm just way out
And,
here.
and there's nothing wrong with being linear.
No.
You know, if you want to get your taxes done, do it with a linear person. You know,
Yes.
they see 1, 2, 3, 4. You know, we're 1 to 28, 42.
Yeah, we're just skipping all over the place.
So if we come out, so if I'm in a conversation with somebody and they're thinking 1, 2, 3, you know, they're thinking the next part of the conversation is going to be 4, and I come out with 28, they're going to look at me funny. So I have to learn, you know, to kind of breathe through my nose,
Right.
catch my breath, and scale it back to them. So 6 is about their limit. If I come out with 5 or 6, I'm sort of keeping the conversation moving.
Right.
But
if you're at 48, see you later.
it's see you later, because then I have to learn to recover from that, and I've learned a few tricks like let's see what I will have a few stock recovery phrases from that, like, wow, I don't know what I'm talking about there, or
Yes.
or wow, what was I not thinking there? Ha ha ha! You know, I make a light joke out of it. It's a self-deprecating
Right.
joke, and
you gotta back off and eject.
back up, eject, yeah, and then come back to, you know, where they're at with a 5 or a 6 kind of response. And so this is something we have to learn sometimes,
Yeah.
just to get along in the
Or
real
to
world.
even, sometimes I'm even quiet because I'm like, if I say something, it's not gonna be good. Not like in a mean way, but they're not gonna take it the way,
Right, it's totally
Yeah.
different, because
yeah.
we are often perceiving reality different, and this does not mean we're crazy. This is our reality. Let's own it. You know, I've used the word beautiful minds before, but we have beautiful minds. It's that other people may not appreciate this at certain times. They will love our creative efforts. If we do a great creative work of art or write a great book, they'll say that was brilliant. But if we come up with the stuff in the ordinary course of conversation,
Yeah.
this is why often where you get funny looks, and it
Awkward, right?
right,
The
and
awkward moments.
awkward. And if they know we have bipolar, they'll go, aha, you know. And
Yeah,
you've
I get that a lot.
You get that a
Because
lot.
everybody knows I have bipolar because I tell the world.
Yeah, I did that too, and you know, you can't put the toothpaste back in the tube. I mean, I've got my website on, but
Yeah.
I mean, this is horrible problems when I try online dating because I'm busted. You know,
You're totally screwed.
I'm totally screwed with that. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, I think that says it.
Yeah, I think that's
Do you
a
have
wrap.
any words of wisdom for people?
I just love that we're keeping it all real out here, and when you have those moments, go with it. You know, don't ignore it. I feel like we're like given these extra talents sometimes, and we need to like embrace it instead of.
We need to honor it. Yeah.
You need to honor those moments, like John with the earthquake thing, or like if I see that there's somebody like. Sometimes I felt like there was something majorly wrong, and I just call that person, and usually I'm right. So
I got another thing came to me.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I found I'm hanging out with a new tribe of people now.
Yeah.
Where I don't feel abnormal. I mean, they don't necessarily have bipolar. They don't identify with bipolar, but
Right.
You know, they're a group of people who are very drawn to people, but you know, they follow shamanic practices. You know, and this is getting in touch with the earth, and they will say things to me, and I will respect what they say and honor it, and I'll say things, and I feel so totally safe in this environment.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's no pressure. I am just totally relaxed. So that's another thing. If you're feeling funny around, you know, your normal group of people, maybe you could consider, you know, phasing into another group of people. There's great tribes out there. You will find your tribe eventually.
Yeah, I mean, mine's my church, so that's
Yeah,
my
yeah,
tribe.
and mine is actually my didgeridoo people, you know, and
Yeah.
drum circle people and shamanic people.
See, we have totally opposite tribes, but it works for
It works because
each of us.
we feel emotionally safe here. We're not stressed out having to
please.
deal with this person or this person people who are going to judge us.
Totally.
Yeah. So
that's freeing. All right, guys.
Hey, our books. Yes.
I always forget this part.
We always forget this part.
Because I'm like, who cares if I make $1?
I will promote, yes, I will promote your book here. Okay,
Yes.
So this is Runaway Mind. It's about Maggie's break with reality when she was 19 and how her family gathered around her. It's a great heartwarming story of family support and surviving this illness, and you can buy it on Amazon, and it's so good. I've quoted extensively from it in my book here.
Well, thanks, John. And this is not just up and down. And he takes apart so many different components of bipolar. It gives personal experiences of different people he knows that deal with bipolar. So, and I'm in it too, kind of fun.
Yeah.
and it's very readable, easy to read. So it's awesome. I highly encourage you to buy this, whether you're dealing with bipolar or have a loved one that has bipolar. And have a wonderful day.
And subscribe to our YouTube channel and get on our email lists.
We're all donezo.
We're donezo.
Thank you. You're totally screwed.
I'm totally screwed.